Hey, so today I have my notebook with me since we have a lot to talk about, but it's one of my favorite things. And again, regardless if you're an artist, creative, human being, what have you, I feel like everyone can relate to this and should sit with this topic for at least a moment in time. It's something I feel super passionate about. And it's how to find your why. So just sitting with the fire in your belly, kind of defining it. I don't like putting things in a box, but just getting really clear on the why behind anything you do in life. Anything. So for me, the end goal of this is going to be an artist statement because that is the why that I'm sitting with today. And it had me thinking about when apparently, this is the story my grandmother told. Apparently, when I was 4, so just little Jessie at the time, asked my grandma in the kitchen at our farmhouse what my purpose was. And she probably laughed at me, but this was a very relevant theme throughout my entire life. I've always been contemplating this topic. And today, I want to walk you through some very pivotal moments that really shifted my perspective. And just again, that little breadcrumb trail that has all built up into what is now my why, my values, and my artist statement. And your artist statement is more of like a manifesto or just like a mission statement on, again, why you're doing what you're doing. So I've been researching these like archetypes, pretty much every personality, psychological, spiritual framework you can think of. And so, again, I'm just going to highlight some of my favorites that could help you on your path and your self discovery journey of figuring out your why in whatever way that looks like for you. And another quick little story just to emphasize the importance of it. I was teaching my third graders at the time in Texas. And one girl was saying she wanted to get married and have a family and have lots of kids. And I asked her, I was like, why do you want all those things? And she said one of the best answers I've ever heard. She said, so I'll have people to love. And I thought that was very heartfelt and something only an 8-year-old child could come up with. So just again, the importance of figuring out your why, especially around big life decisions, pursuing your passion, anything, basically any decision in life. I think you should sit with your why. So the first one I want to talk about is the structure called the gene keys. And this one gets a little nitty gritty technical, which again, I'm not a detail oriented person, but the gene keys are a way to figure out, like it highlights certain strengths that you have within yourself. And I think it really gave me a sense of my North Star because as you dive deeper, you can figure out things that you're just here naturally, like you inherently have these natural gifts inside of you. Everyone has some kind of gift. And I think the gene keys help identify those in you more prominently. And there's a really good book by, I believe it's Richard Rudd, but I'll definitely put the link in the bio. And it basically can go through, you have different keys and you can go through individually and find the ones within yourself that can really help you on your journey. And the whole entirety of the book kind of shows the entirety of the evolution of human consciousness. So all of humanity, the whole gamut of everything, the collective. And then you can go through and pick out the individual ones that are applicable to you personally. And then the second one that I really love is human design. And so the gene keys are more of like your unique characteristics, traits that are inherently within you. And human design points out your energetic system and the blueprint of how to use those in the most efficient way. So I think those two pair really nicely. Some people think that they're the same thing, which they have a lot of overlap, but I think they're just two systems that coincide together in a really beautiful way. So the human design it was a channeled message by Uru. I'm butchering that, but Ra. And they channeled that message. And it's, again, it can be really specific, but it's also like a pretty general blueprint of your makeup. So for me, example, my energetic system, I make decisions really well when it's intuitive as possible. Like I can take the facts and the logic, but my intuitive decisions, when I reflect back on my life, have been the most pivotal and the best decisions I've ever made because that's my energy blueprint. So I was following my system, how it was designed. And so with these structures, and there's probably tons more out there, these are just two of my favorites. It also made me think of I'm going to say this as a metaphor, but you can get into the quantum physics of it all. I'm not a scientist by any means. I like to pretend I am, but you can get into all the nitty gritty science of it. But the metaphor of the double slit experiment is basically whatever you focus on, that's how your reality will behave. So I'll put a video of the double slit experiment, but basically particles behaved in the way that the observer expected them to, and they changed when the observer wasn't present. So reality reacts based on how the observer is perceiving it, essentially. And to break this down to, again, like a third grade level metaphor, in my brain, I always picture the Pixar lamp. And so I imagine him like hopping around, and whatever that lamp is highlighting, that's where your focus is. So that's what I try to do with my thoughts, with my intentions, like my literal everyday. I'm thinking about that Pixar lamp. Like, what am I actually focusing on? Am I focusing on creativity? Am I focusing on love? Am I focusing on all these things that I want to attract into my life? And the Pixar lamp just helps remind me of that. And same thing with the gene keys. Like once you know your strengths and your like how you're designed in your own personal system, you can focus more on those and just highlight them to express them in the best way possible for you and how you were designed. So with focus and intention and figuring out your strengths and all these things, I think that leads me to my next biggest point that you need to sit with and reflect on. Everyone should do this, regardless of who you are. Everyone should do this, in my opinion. And someone had mentioned this to me. He went to a Tony Robbins seminar and they did a whole thing on your values. And I don't think we ask that question enough. Like, what do you value in your life? So I'm going to just list mine very briefly. I chose six. It was really hard for me to narrow it down because I'm a big picture girly. But obviously, number one is creativity. That's the whole premise of this channel, the whole, pillar I stand on. But creativity, just because it's quite literally saved my soul. I don't want to be so dramatic, like save my life, but it saved my soul from just like it makes me so sad to think of going through life without ever tapping into my creativity and my self-expression, and again deeply knowing myself. That's why I'm so passionate about this, because I think that would have been one of my biggest life regrets if I didn't discover this aspect of myself. And so that's why I'm so passionate about encouraging other people to deep dive and sit with themselves and unlock their own creative strengths and abilities within themselves that they might not even realize is waiting for them to explore. So creativity, and I'm not ranking these, but creativity is obviously up there for me. A second one that has been a driving force in pretty much every life decision, everything I do, is freedom. I love freedom. I love the ability to choose. Again, not to put a gender on it, but being a woman in 2026 and having all the freedom I could probably, like, it makes me emotional just thinking about it. But yeah, just having the ability to live the life you want to live is one of the biggest gifts. So I obviously really value that. And number three, this kind of overlaps with the first one, but authenticity. I think with how society is moving towards, AI and all this automated like systems and structures, I think authenticity and that like deep human connection and that resonance in your soul when you can feel something is so viscerally and inherently real. I just have such an appreciation for it. That's why I don't care what you're creating or like if it's good, bad, ugly, what have you. I just appreciate if it's authentic, I'm going to appreciate it. I love it. I love it. And the next one, which again is a very obvious one for me, I it makes me sad when people apologize, like, sorry, I'm going to be woo. But no, spirituality is one of my values. I'm going to be spiritual. I'm going to talk through a spiritual filter because, again, it's dramatically changed my life. And I describe it to people like in The Wizard of Oz, the movie. I think it was the first movie to ever air in color. So before my spiritual awakening, it was like The Wizard of Oz when it was in black and white. It was a beautiful movie. I love black and white films. I love noir and all that stuff. But it was black and white. And then after my spiritual awakening, it was like a horse of a different color. And it was all, just everything was brighter and just more vibrant. And so I really, really value the spiritual, the divine, the sacredness in every fragment of this reality of life and beyond everything that we can imagine. So spirituality has obviously been a big part of my life, and it's something I really value. Another very obvious one that I think most people will have on their list is love. Love, in all forms of it, I say that when I'm thinking about the relationships in my life and the experience that I want to have, I want to experience the full spectrum, love in all its forms. The love for your family and friends, obviously, the romantic love, the love of sharing a moment with a stranger, the love for animals and nature and the world around you. I just love love. I'm a lover girl. And then impact and inspiration is my last one. Last one. I do truly, truly deep down, I know without a shadow of doubt, I am here to inspire others and have an impact. I will not leave this planet until that happens. And I try to have, even if it's a sprinkle, like every day, just have a little moment where I'm inspired, I'm inspiring others. Or, I work in the airlines, so I'll have interactions with strangers and they impact me. And I know I'm impacting them in some way, shape, or form. So I just think it's like the coolest thing to think back on those little moments with people that you can tell like your trajectory. There was like that pivot, that like slight little shift that got you, more aligned with where you needed to be. So I just am fascinated with that. And that's definitely one of my values. So with those systems and like self-discovery structures in mind, and then sitting down with your values, and I'll have a worksheet that you can do if you want at the end of the video. You can download it if you want to sit with this in your journal, what have you. That all builds into your artist statement. And again, this can be a statement about anything that you're trying to create or any type of mission statement you want for your life. I'm going to do it through the lens of an artist, obviously. But an artist statement, it was really hard. Because again, I'm a beginner. I'm a beginner mindset. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm a self-taught artist. But the artist statement, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, is that like my resume? I was kind of confused. So for me, your artist statement, I was kind of getting over. In the past, I would have like listed my accomplishments, like, oh, she got in this gallery and did this festival and had this show and whatever. But it's more of you being a conscious creator and choosing, again, the Pixar lamp, choosing which reality you would like to participate and create in, and then explaining that. So I'm going to put my big, long artist statement up for you to see. But essentially, I want to create as a way of translating what I don't always have a language for: inner worlds, emotions, dreams, and quiet patterns that echo across our lived experiences. My work is rooted in the idea that we are all carrying invisible narratives inside of us, and art is one of the ways those narratives become visible. My practice is shaped by experience as much as imagination. Everything from memory, travel, symbolism, and spiritual inquiry becomes material for my work. I use portraiture and symbolic imagery as a way of exploring human complexity, resilience, and connection. Ultimately, my work is about remembrance, not just of my own inner world, but of the creative force that exists in all of us. I want my work to act as a mirror that invites people to recognize something in themselves that they may have forgotten how to see. So, obviously, that one, I think I did a little revising, but I think you can tell by my expression, this is so important to me, because if you don't acknowledge what the purpose of that fire is inside of you, I was almost going down the road of, oh, I'm going to create the art that people want to buy, or oh, I'm going to create the art that looks good in a gallery, or like all these other outside noise type of reasons. So again, I really had to reel it in and be like, okay, Jess, we're standing on this pillar of authenticity and yada, yada. We need to get real and sit with why the helly we're doing all this. Because I know a lot of people, like I would look at other artists too, and it looks like all, fun, sunshine, and rainbows. That you have your own art studio and you can make art all day and la la la. It's very whimsy, wonderful, beautiful. But there's been a lot of sacrifice that has gone into this, a lot of work. I've worked my booty off. I've worked my booty off to get to this point. And so I think just acknowledging like that sacrifice and what it was all for is really meaningful. So the whole point of this video, obviously, is to encourage you to do the same. And again, it doesn't have to be with art. It can be for any goal or any trajectory, any life timeline that you're trying to jump into, quantum leap into. I think getting really clear on that why will, again, just add more fuel to the fire and get you crystal clear on the direction and that North Star that you're journeying to, because it's a journey. It's not the destination, it's a journey. I love my journeys. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you on your self-discovery journey. And like I said, I will have a worksheet link in the description if you need some help navigating this really lengthy process that hopefully wasn't too complicated. But yeah, so I appreciate you being here, and I can't wait to see if you have any insights that you want to share in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thank you.